The Repentance of Nineveh by Ginzberg. Jonah went straightway to Nineveh, the monster city covering 40 square parasangs and containing 1.5 million of human beings. He lost no time in proclaiming their destruction to the inhabitants. The voice of the prophet was so sonorous that it reached to every corner of the great city, and all who heard his words resolved to turn aside from their ungodly ways. At the head of the penitents was King Osnapar of Assyria. 34, he descended from his throne, removed his crown, strewed ashes on his head instead, took off his purple garments, and rolled about in the dust of the highways. In all the streets, royal heralds proclaimed the king's decree bidding the inhabitants fast 3 days, wear sackcloth, and supplicate God with tears and prayers to avert the threatened doom. The people of Nineveh, fairly compelled to God's mercy to descend upon them, they held their infants heavenward, and amid streaming tears they cried, "For the sake of these innocent babes, hear our prayers." The young of their stalled cattle they separated from the mother beasts, the young were left within the stable, the old were put without. So parted from one another, the young and the old began to bellow aloud. Then the Ninevites cried, "If thou wilt not have mercy upon us, we will not have mercy upon these beasts." The penance of the Ninevites did not stop at fasting and praying. Their deeds showed that they had determined to lead a better life. If a man had usurped another's property, he sought to make amends for his iniquity. Some went so far as to destroy their palaces in order to be able to give back a single brick to the rightful owner. Of their own accord, others appeared before the courts of justice and confessed their secret crimes and sins, known to none beside themselves, and declared themselves ready to submit to well-merited punishment, though it be death that was decreed against them. One incident that happened at the time will illustrate the contrition of the Ninevites. A man found a treasure in the building lot he had acquired from his neighbor. Both buyer and seller refused to assume possession of the treasure. The seller insisted that the sale of the lot carried with it the sale of all it contained. The buyer held that he had bought the ground, not the treasure hidden therein. Neither rested satisfied until the judge succeeded in finding out who had hidden the treasure and where were his heirs, and the joy of the two was great when they could deliver the treasure up to its legitimate owners. Seeing that the Ninevites had undergone a real change of heart, God took mercy upon them and pardoned them. Thereupon Jonah likewise felt encouraged to plead for himself with God, that he forgive him for his flight. God spoke to him, "Thou wast mindful of mine honor." The prophet had not wanted to appear a liar, so that men's trust in God might not be shaken, and for this reason thou didst take to sea. Therefore did I deal mercifully with thee, and rescue thee from the bowels of Sheol. His sojourn in the inside of the fish, the prophet could not easily dismiss from his mind, nor did it remain without visible consequences. The intense heat in the belly of the fish had consumed his garments, and made his hair fall out. 36, and he was sore plagued by swarms of insects. To afford Jonah protection, God caused the kikin to grow up. When he opened his eyes one morning, he saw a plant with 275 leaves, each leaf measuring more than a span, so that it afforded relief from the heat of the sun. But the sun smote the gourd that it withered, and Jonah was again annoyed by the insects. He began to weep and wish for death to release him from his troubles. But when God led him to the plant, and showed him what lesson he might derive from it, how, though he had not labored for the plant, he had pity on it, he realized his wrong in desiring God to be relentless toward Nineveh, the great city with its many inhabitants, rather than have his reputation as a prophet suffer taint. He prostrated himself and said, "O God, guide the world according to thy goodness." God was gracious to the people of Nineveh so long as they continued worthy of his loving kindness. But at the end of 40 days, they departed from the path of piety, and they became more sinful than ever. Then the punishment threatened by Jonah overtook them, and they were swallowed up by the earth. 37. Jonah's suffering in the watery abyss had been so severe that by way of compensation of God exempted him from death. Living, he was permitted to enter paradise. 38. Like Jonah, his wife was known far and wide for her piety. She had gained fame particularly through her pilgrimage to Jerusalem, a duty which, by reason of her sex, she was not obliged to fulfill. 39. On one of these pilgrimages, it was that the prophetical spirit first descended upon Jonah. 40.